Today, on a really crisp winter day, we are at the Dales Bike Centre with some friends of mine. You might recognise Sally and, fan of the show, Sean. Now, we're going to be talking today about the most amount of comfort for the least amount of money. And I've just given a present to both Sally and Sean. Can you guess what it is? I've just given Sally and Sean the gift of a longer ride by giving them a pair of socks, because I think that if anything's going to make you cut your ride short, go home, get a cup of tea and curl up in bed, it's because you've got cold feet, sore feet, or possibly cold hands. So with that in mind, let's see how they get on. Both Sally and Sean are real veterans of being in cold, wet, damp, uncomfortable places. I knew Sally from adventure racing days. Sean is ex-army and done some pretty big expeditions. So on a cold day like today, I think we're going to learn some stuff about trying to stay comfortable, or at least not uncomfortable, out in the cold and the wet. How did you get chilblains, Sal?
Hi! Working in the outdoors, outside all the time, I suffer from cold feet and chilblains. So, fingers crossed, new sock!
Now, you guys are both wearing Gore-Tex boots as well.
Yes.
I've just got normal, non-waterproof, but quite warm socks on. But the conditions today are what I describe as dry and cold, but there's still some surface water around. There's a temperature inversion, so there's lots of frozen water down here in the car park, but on the way here we can definitely tell it's going to be warmer the higher we go. Welcome to the summit of Harkerside Hill. Now, when you're in winter, there's a couple of things you need to remember. One, if you are wet, then suddenly meeting cold and sort of gusty air is going to make you significantly colder. So one of the biggest tricks is actually trying to stay dry. That's staying dry from all the sort of splashy stuff that comes off the ground, as well as what might fall out of the sky, but also remember your sweat. So one, it's important to get good layer in and allow that sweat to escape, but it's also really important in winter to pace yourself so you're never at that point where you're producing lots of sweat, because the second you stop at the top of a hill, you're going to get very cold, and as soon as we go downhill and start creating some wind chill, you're going to get really cold. Right, we are about an hour and 40 minutes into our ride now, I think, right? We've done 3 descents, 3 climbs, so we've got a little bit sweaty, probably starting to feel the effects of being out in the cold a little bit. Checking with how we're feeling. How are you feeling?
Good, alright, yeah, good. Definitely, my layering system is serving me well. I do run cold.
Yeah. I love these gloves, by the way, look at these.
You know, my extremities is what I suffer a lot with. So hands especially, I don't know, because the nature of what I do is an occupation, and my feet, so I can start to feel the bite in my feet, just a little pinch.
I'm the same actually. You've got proper Gore-Tex and they're fleecy lined as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
And mine aren't. I've just got my socks on and my normal sort of trainers on. Layering wise, I don't know about you, but I'm wearing this like sort of slightly insulated jacket, but the sleeves aren't, and then underneath I've actually got polypropylene. So this rather fetching green and stripy thing is a Helly Hansen polypropylene. So polypropylene is completely hydrophobic, so it doesn't get wet at all. It's the sort of fabric where you take it out of the washing machine and it's almost instantly dry. I like using it in winter. What have you layered up with there?
Very similar, but I'm different. So I've got a soft shell with a synthetic gilet on the top, so similar outfit,
but in 2 layers, which is much more sensible. And
then underneath I've got one of the Patagonia sort of fleeces that have got these squares in. Apparently it's supposed to trap the heat, the technology, and wick, so it does a bit of everything, but the squares fleece, so yeah. But
yours is synthetic as well, isn't it? I'm not really a fan of merino, are you?
There's people out there, well, I'm not a fan.
I've never got on with it. Sean, what's your layering strategy today, Sean?
So, being a true Yorkshireman, I don't have a great deal on.
Naked. This is just for the camera.
one base layer, which is a synthetic layer, and one sort of long sleeve jersey, which
is quite thin actually, isn't it? Yeah, it's almost like windproof.
I'm definitely in the camp of be bold, start cold. When I set off this morning, when I got geared up, I had an extra mid layer on, and I was warm just sat sort of on the bike, and I thought as soon as we start climbing the hills, I'm going to be...
And both of us actually are rocking like the mountain bike sort of nylon trousers. Yours are a bit stretchier than mine.
Yeah.
Sally's got like proper bib tights and and shorts and stuff. Quite like trousers in winter.
Yeah, definitely. I wear them in summer a lot now. I've just been and bought a new pair of shorts actually for a recent overseas trip I did, and I never wore them once.
I think it's better if you're wearing pads.
Yeah, because they keep the pads in place, trousers.
Yeah. Cool. Right, we've got what, one more climb?
A traverse, a descent, a traverse, and then a descent. Yeah, so...
Well, this we're going.
Yeah, that's right.
Over there somewhere. Awesome. Right, catch up soon. Don't get wet feet. The time for splashing in puddles is the summertime. In the winter, take your time, stay dry. I think even if I had waterproof socks on, probably wouldn't risk that too much. It's just going to end up shortening your ride, and nobody wants that. What's it, 2 hours 40 minutes so far in the cold? Interesting one. We had a really severe temperature inversion as we were descending down. It got colder and colder and colder, icier, so it's really worth remembering that if you're outside where the temperature range is. How you feeling?
Do you know what? Cold. I'm cold. We're sitting at the bottom.
We're going for cake in a second.
Yeah, going for cake. But yeah, it's definitely significantly colder down here.
How are your feet?
Feet are all right. Definitely right foot, toes are gone. Left foot still with me. But
it's that specific.
It's that specific.
So you've tried almost every single sock combination, like neoprene socks. How did that go?
Neoprene socks, waterproof socks, full-on mountaineering woolly socks. I'm always experimenting, but I think the best combination for me today has been winter shoes with a woolly sock.
Yeah, winter shoes are like a merino thick sock that you keep dry. And normally that would be a mountaineering sock, I think, which is like baggy cuffs. So I'm going to show you some cycling specific warm socks. How does that sound? You might have noticed this video is a little bit different to the normal map deck videos, and I do hope you're enjoying the variety. This video has been made possible by our friends at Bridgedale, which means that we can get out and film. Now, Bridgedale is a British brand of socks that I've known for a long, long time. So back in the early days of my career working in outdoor shops, all the way through sponsoring the adventure racing team that I competed for back in the early 2000s, and later on in my ultra running career as well, I really have known Bridgedale's probably since my late teens. And now it's a real pleasure to introduce them on my channel as they enter the cycling market properly. Now, Bridgedale are now introducing a range of mountain biking and gravel socks that they really have put some thought into the actual demands of the sport. And they've actually got 3 models. They've got a lightweight for sort of summer, a midweight ideal for spring and autumn, and then they've got a heavyweight sock for winter, as you'd imagine. But what makes these dead interesting is how they thought about the needs of a cyclist. So a couple of things they've done is, first of all, they've moved the seam as they close the sock off as it comes off the loom away from the top of the toe box to the underneath, because in mountaineering and running, etc., we bend our toes in a different way, so they put the seam underneath out of the way for cyclists. And also in cycling shoes, we tend to use clasps, ratchet systems, and a tighter fit around the top of the foot. So they've allowed that by reducing some of the material across the top of the foot here. And also, if you're wearing more dedicated cycling shoes on your gravel bike, you'll tend to have quite a high arch, so they've reduced some of the material out of the sock there as well. Love that attention to detail. When you come to the cuff, the thing that really annoys me around wearing warmer mountaineering socks, because sometimes you want to wear a really warm sock, right, is that the cuff is designed to work in a hiking boot, which means that when you wear it outside in a bike, the cuff's not normally tight enough to stay in place. And so as cyclists, we tend to pull our socks up, and we have that gap between either where our knee warmers start or where our knee pads start. So I like the fact that you can pull your socks up properly, they look smart and they stay in place. So the cuff area has been massively improved. And a couple of little features which I do like for mountain biking, they've reinforced this area here around the ankle bone, because we would traditionally rub that on our crank. So this bit has been reinforced, so your investment in socks is a little bit protected by that. And also they run that protection a little bit up the Achilles, because pedal strikes and that sort of thing. Okay, it's not going to stop you bleeding and it'll still hurt, but hopefully you won't rip your socks with that extra bit of reinforcement. This little Y-shaped piece you can see here adds some articulation, so that as we're bending our foot, ankling our foot through the pedal stroke, we don't get lots of creases in the sock as well. So they really have thought through quite a lot of stuff. When it comes to the different designs, you've got these, this is the women's ones. The women's always have better colours, right? And these are the men's. These are like the mid-weight ones. They've got a blend of nylon and merino. And then when you come onto the winter weight socks, they add in another fabric called Endurofil to add more insulation, but without adding lots more wool, which then becomes heavy when it's wet. So the wool content is higher in the mid-weight. They reduce the wool content for the winter weight, but increase the more synthetic insulation so that it doesn't just maintain and hold water. How are your feet doing, Sean? Hardy Yorkshireman?
Well, to be fair, I've not really given it much thought, and the reason for that is because they've been totally fine. You know, there's not even been in my consciousness. I've been enjoying the ride and what have you, and we've been chatting and doing all of it, and then somebody mentioned, oh, the socks. I thought, oh, yeah, the socks. What socks? Do you know what I mean? It's like...
It's the definition of comfort is not feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Different bike. We're out on a big adventure ride today, sort of, well, you can kind of see this is the vibe of today, and it's wet. It's about 10 degrees air temperature. It's not raining, but it's definitely moisture in the air, definitely moisture being kicked up from the roads. So today what I've chosen, fully insulated bib tights, but check this out, proper full length waterproof socks. I mean, they go all the way up to here on my leg. Now I know what you're saying, looking at the state of my shoes, should probably have overshoes on, and you're probably right, it's personal preference. I do have like some Spatswear ones. It has to be really, really wet for me to wear them because they get really hot, and also they're quite fragile. I find if I wear them often they just rip, which means that when I actually want to use them because I need them, they're just in a really poor condition. So a day like today where it's not actually water's falling out the sky, although I tend to just like wearing full length waterproof socks. New day, different type of riding, different type of bike on the 3T Extrema Italia today. More about that on another video, I think. Definitely worth a video in its own right. Anyway, today it is warm-ish, there's no ice around, it is dry, although the ground is wet, and also I'm out for a very fast short ride, so I've got about an hour 45 in a lunch break, so I'm going to try and put some effort in. I've got some big hills to do as well, and the ground today is going to be a bit like this sort of back road, a bit of gravel. There's going to be some steep descending. I'll show you later. Hopefully this bike's going to be awesome for. But clothing for today is, one, I've got my more traditional sort of cycling shoes on with the winter weight socks. I've also got a pair of like thick tights on. I prefer that rather than leggings and stuff like that, or arm warmers if I can. And also we're wearing a similar sort of jacket to the Castelli Perfetto, or it's slightly thinner, and also being bold today, so I'm going next to skin, so no vest or anything. This is purely sort of fleece lined, and it's got like a membrane in it as well, and also hopefully the DWR coating is all intact as well. So faster ride, not expecting to get to the point where I'm so cold that I'm uncomfortable, but I want all my clothing to really be breathable and just allow me to actually get my heart rate up without becoming uncomfortable to suddenly get too hot. Right, first climb done. It's a steep, quite technical climb, definitely out of breath, really enjoying myself. This is the danger point because I'm definitely sweating. I can feel the heat building up inside my clothing system. And now I'm about to go and do a descent, and this is kind of the dangerous bit. So hopefully this sort of windproof layer is going to keep that away and still allow everything to breathe. And as for the socks, I'll tell you what, when you start riding in winter and you wear padded socks, you kind of realise how comfortable they are, actually having some padding underneath your feet. So really, really appreciating that. Right. Shit, and sometimes this happens. Oh fuck. What just happened is about the worst thing that could happen in winter, and that is big puddle. Didn't see the big bog, completely decked it, and my feet are absolutely soaking. I mean, absolutely ringed out. Look at that. So this is the danger, because I'm at the top of a hill, I'm about to descend, it's cold, I know that my feet are going to be freezing by the bottom. Now, do you know what, on a longer ride, this is where actually switching into a dry pair of socks would be an absolute lifesaver. I don't have that luxury, but I know that I'm probably only 35 minutes away from home, so I'm almost at the end of the ride. I'm just gonna have to suffer this out, and I'll let you know how I look at the end. A little hiker bike through this muddy section might actually be the saving grace of my feet, because it's sort of almost wringing the socks out. Now, remember I talked about the composition of these socks. They are a relatively small amount of merino, which doesn't hold moisture particularly well anyway, and also Endurofil. So Endurofil is a polypropylene. So imagine when they make polypropylene thread, they have like a big vat of liquid polypropylene, and as it comes out through a small aperture, it creates a thread, a bit like a fishing wire. What they do with Endurofil is that they manipulate it in its sort of semi-liquid state to give it some sort of insulation, some coarse properties, but then they weave that together with the merino. So what we actually create is a very hydrophobic sock, and that's playing out actually because they suddenly feel, I wouldn't say they feel dry, but they don't feel sodden is the best way of putting it. Let's just hope I survive this descent. This is officially the worst possible scenario. The really cold, uncomfortable feet. I've got wet feet, I've got ventilated shoes on, and I'm now going downhill relatively fast, so the wind chill is absolutely biting. I'm so glad I'm only about 20 minutes away from a warm hot shower. Now the question is, would overshoes have prevented it? Nope, no way. You've definitely still got wet feet. It might do something about the wind chill on this descent. Would waterproof socks have prevented it? Yes, I think I was lucky enough that it wouldn't have got over the top of my waterproof socks, and it definitely it would definitely be helping this wind chill. Oh my god, my feet are so cold. In fact, for the last part of that ride, it's literally all I could think about. So strategy one, I'm not going to go and jump in the shower because my feet will irritate and itch for the rest of the day. So I'm going to go and get warm, dry clothes on, eat something, actually do some metabolizing, and then walk around as much as I can, try and get the blood flowing. And when my feet start feeling like they're a part of my body again, then I'll go and get in the shower and we'll talk about waterproof socks. I don't know about you, but nearly all of my overshoes look like this. They've got holes in here, the sort of elastic's all gone, the zip's broken, and I just find that water just comes in the top. The Spatswear ones are great, but they're expensive and quite fragile, and I sort of pretty much gave up on them and started to use knee-length waterproof socks. I mean, look at those, they're fantastic. And I have to say, it wasn't until I started making this video that I realised that Bridgedale now actually make waterproof socks. Up until now, I've always been using an alternative brand, so dead happy to see that Bridgedale now do this. A waterproof sock, if you're not familiar, is actually a 3-layer system. So you have sort of the really soft and insulated merino and synthetic liner. That's where all the warmth and the comfort comes from. And then you have a fully tape seam bootie, which provides all the waterproofing. And then on the outside is this nylon outer. So they're actually really hard wearing as well, because quite often you'll find that your toenails and stuff will start to puncture these. But with that nylon outer, it really does sort of protect your investment. The knee length ones are definitely my winter fave, but they also do like a more traditional boot length as well. I really hope you're enjoying this video. It's a great way of us getting outside and sharing some knowledge with you guys. Thanks to our sponsors, Bridgedale, for making this possible. And to conclude this video, I would say the most amount of comfort for the least amount of money. I'll present to you the sock.